Hey gang, Jeff here. Recently had an opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with our STLP superstar coach, Mr. Mike Bell. Now, Mike is a digital learning coach out of Floyd County. He is now leading STLP for the whole district, but I think we can all learn a lot from him because Mike holds a very special place in the history of STLP. We'll explain that in the video just a little bit, so enjoy. I'm pumped to have a conversation with a legend in the STLP world. So, Mr. Mike Bell, you're at Floyd County Schools, you're a digital learning coach, but you also have a history with STLP as not the one-time STLP state championship coach, not a back-to-back STLP state champion coach, but yeah, the hat trick, three-time back-to-back STLP state coach, Mr. Mike Bell. Give it up for this man. Awesome. Thanks for taking a couple of minutes to chat with me. I know it's super busy in Floyd County, and I know you got a lot going on, but just wanted to, take a minute and take an opportunity to take advantage of some of your skills and your experience, and just have an opportunity to share a little bit about what got you here, how you ended up three-time. So a couple things to think about. Number one is there anything that I didn't say when I introduced you that we should make sure everybody knows?
Well, first of all, thanks for that crazy, awesome introduction. So that was very humbling for me. No, I tell you, I'm just one of these guys that I'm actually a music teacher that just really liked technology, and I loved incorporating it into the things that we did. And from there, that's really how I sort of got involved with STLP. One of my former peers, he was like, "Hey, Mike, you want to go judge?" Well, that's all it took. So when I went to judge many years ago, I quickly understood what the benefit of STLP was. And I knew what it could truly do for my kids, and it has truly changed their lives. And mine as well.
I love hearing that. So if it's tough to sum up, but what is that benefit? What was that why behind STLP for you?
Well, I think for me, I was able, let me say it this way. I was fortunate enough to make my teaching better. I think STLP really challenged me to take my kids to a new level, but do it in a way where they let us. For so many years, and I've been teaching for 24 years, and been able to teach all the different grades, K through 12, actually teaching a little college now. So one thing that I saw as I reflected over my career was I felt like sometimes I left the rock on their head and I capped them at what, because I was like, oh, I've got to sort of control the situation, and I've got to make sure that I get them where they need to be, but I don't, I want to keep them sort of right there. Well, I realized quickly with STLP, you've got to take that rock off their head, because you're gonna truly miss something amazing if you leave it on there. And over these last probably 4 or 5 years, I watched these kids that were just 12, 13, 14 years old totally change people's lives. And when you give them that opportunity, wow, now your job is totally different, and they're learning for a purpose, not just to make great grades and get college scholarships and things like that. They're changing people's lives. And I think these last 3 years, that was our biggest emphasis. It was not winning anything, and it truly wasn't. It was completely about, how are you going to make a difference in somebody's life this year? How are you going to change somebody's life? And if you go back and look at the 3 projects that the kids did, that was the biggest focus in all 3 of them, was, everything from making sure that when we say that we were all inclusive with our student body, we meant it. I mean, our kids saw a need with our special needs students, especially our more physically challenged students, and they created something to where they could perform just like anybody else in the school. And that's why they did what they did. You know, the next year they knew worldwide there was an issue with kids being left in hot cars. So they did this whole focus on the car seat and how do we make it better where these, you know, using the technology that we know and that we have access to, and making, you know, saving lives. These are middle school kids. It's crazy. And then this past year, building a device where these kids come in and they have family members that are, you know, policemen and military, and they wanted a device that could help monitor or could help alert someone else that this person may be in trouble. So that is what we really focus on. That's what it's about. It's not anything about them, a trophy or anything else. It's about changing somebody else's life, not just theirs.
It was so evident, and one of the neat things about our unique situation with the state championship last year in 2020, having to go all virtual, was now we have something that we'd never had before, was essentially the presentation that was given and used by judges before. You know, it happened live, and it kind of was a moment in time, and now we've got those recordings. So I'm going to put a link in here and let folks go back out, and they can still go back and see your all's state championship presentation from last year. But one thing that I know people are interested in is what advice you would give as an STLP coach. Yes, it's not about trophies. Very successful in different ways, not just the fact that you're state champion, but very successful in what your students have accomplished through STLP for your school, for your community.
Right.
What advice would you give, knowing from your experience after the virtual last year, knowing that we're going to go back into regionals from a virtual digital, all digital platform? Yeah. What advice would you give first to students about how they take their steps and plan to go through sort of virtual experience?
You know, I think you still have to sort of still keep the same process to a point that you typically are doing live. Okay. How am I, you know, what is this project going to do? You know, we always focused on real world projects. So things that could meet a real world need. And once I think they get that aspect of it, I think for the kids, they have to look at all the resources they have at their fingertips. Okay. I know I'm not going to be there in person, but how can I virtually pull this together? You know I could build a website. I know that I could do a Google Meet or a Zoom meeting where I could see all of my presenters on there. I can do a slide deck. There's so many things out there. And I think that's what right now we have to really start as coaches for our kids is look at all these different platforms that they could use to get their idea across. Okay. And one thing that we've done here in Floyd County is I've spent time with our coaches, and I really wanted them to all create a online, some kind of online informational platform that they could send to me that we could actually spend time already helping them with. Because one thing, when you get to the state level or really the regional or state level, you want to also have that, that informational piece that you can get out to the public. So if they're already building it, they've already started their process. Okay. So as they start building this, it's a year long, you can actually watch the thing happen. And you can see where they started on day one, and then you can see this final product at the end. So I think from just talking to the students themselves is look at all of your tools and be familiar with all of your tools. And if you don't know, ask your teacher. That's why they're there. How do I use them? How do I use video? How do I use this? How do I put it together? How do I use Google Slides? Or Google Sites. There's all kinds of things out there for them.
That's awesome. Now, and so I know that the next question that everyone's going to want to know is how did you build a successful program in your school? What were the keys as the coach that you needed to have in place to build this program?
High expectations. We set goals. We set little goals and we accomplished them. We set new goals. We were reevaluating weekly. It wasn't monthly. It wasn't wait until regionals and see what we're going to do later. It's okay, where is that project at today? Where is it at next Friday? Where is it at the Friday after? So when I met with our team the very first day, I told them from day one, this is what I expect. And not one time in there did we expect making it to state. We have an idea that can change lives. That's number one. All of us are going to submit a real world solution to a real world problem. And then we're going to go step by step to take that where it needs to go. But the biggest thing, and we're all guilty, and I listen for years, I've had the issue too, is you get going and you get wrapped up in 100 million things, and then sometimes your expectations back off. You can't back the expectations off. If anything, you have to raise that bar. You have to raise that bar. And when they understand where you're at, they will rise. You got to take that rock off their head. That's what I did. I just took the rock off and said, here, get us up there. Let's go. And they went.
They sure did. They sure did. Wow. That's amazing. I love that analogy with the rock. That is super spectacular. So look, I know you've got a lot on your plate. You got a lot going on because you're supporting an entire district of folks trying to learn. So I will just give you a chance to wrap up. Is there any last minute advice or anything you'd like to leave folks with?
Yeah, I'll just start with coaches. Coaches, man, love your kids, enjoy it, push them. Look, it's okay. It's okay to say, hey, I see what you've done. It's really pretty amazing. But guess what? We need to up it some more. It needs to change. It needs to get better. Because what you're doing for them is they understand, hey, I can't just settle for so-so. I can't just settle. I just got to keep rocking this thing out. For judges, you're probably one of the most important factors in that STLP team. And you're like, well, I just show up for the competitions because I've got to have a judge. No, listen, you take that judge's role and you take it serious. I tell people all the time, Kyle Shepard was one of the best judges I've ever seen because he was judging every day. These kids were going to lunch and he would pull them out of line going, I need to know where your project's at today. Okay. Hey, next week, I want to see something. I'm coming and I'm bringing my clipboard. He just kept them in that mindset of being on their toes, and not in a bad way, but in a way where they handled pressure. They didn't flinch when 12 people showed up popping questions like this. They were just like, bring it on. Let's go. Give me another one. Give me another one. And then the other thing is your community and district support. You need community members buying into your kids and pouring into your kids. So go out and find parents that may, last year I had a parent and he was a financial advisor. He had his own company. And I was like, what if these kids made products that needed to be sold? He come in and taught them. I didn't. Heck, I'm a music teacher. He came in and taught them how to actually, on paper, lay out what it would take, how much it would cost them through renting and buying and having employees, and what their bottom dollar was and how much they would have to charge for that item. So you need that support. When you do that, now you've got people pouring into your kids other than you. And when those people come into your building, those kids hold them so high And it's so amazing to watch the relationships they build. And that's what this thing's about. It ain't about, it's about changing lives and changing lives, whether it's the students, the teacher, the people working with you, or the person that's going to take that product that they create. It's just about changing lives, and that's what STLP is.
That is awesome. That's perfect. That is great. No, I listen, I truly appreciate your perspective. You know, I've crazy respect for you and what you do with kids. And I've had the honor and privilege of seeing you in action. And I wish I could just model it for everybody. But you got a unique perspective and a great way of looking at things. And your kids are lucky to have you, and Floyd County's lucky to have you. And I appreciate you staying involved and championing STLP all these years.
Listen, I thank you, Jeff. Honestly, I tell you, I remember the first couple times doing this and meeting you, and it has. I tell you honestly, it's changed my. It's just changed my career and the way that I really teach. I mean, it really does.
Well, there you have it. Thanks, Mike, for sharing those insights and spending some time chatting with me. I hope everyone who is watching this will come back and check out our other videos as they post online. Have a great day.